They came like a bolt out of the blue to discuss everything in geekdom. When Andy and Mike get together, it is the attack of the 50-foot nerds.
Hello, and welcome to the pilot episode of Attack of the 50-Foot Nerds. My name is Mike Bell, and with me is my co-host,
Andy Weirs.
And this
hello.
is... Oh, yes, hello, sir. And this is, as I say, the pilot episode of a brand new podcast, which is focused on, basically, geek news. If you're a nerd, if you're a geek, if you have a general interest in cult, comics, TV, what have you, and then, you know, this is the podcast for you, I suppose. As to say, my name is Mike Bell, and with my co-host Andy, we're going to delve through the week's developments in geekdom. And so we're going to, crack on now with a little section that we like to call People News.
Shriek in terror! It's time to discuss people in geekdom.
Okay, so up first in People News this week, Andy, I've got, I don't know if you've heard about this, but Kevin Smith has been doing a book, director Kevin Smith, did Clerks, Red State, Mallrats, he's just been on a book tour in America recently with his new book, Tough Shit, Life Advice from a Fat Slob Who Did Good. And, at one of the book signings, someone asked him about a possible Clerks 3, and he revealed that he's planning on doing it as a Broadway play.
He's talked about the possibility of redoing Clerks as a Broadway play before, I think.
No, not Broadway. As it stands, the rights with Clerks, he wouldn't be able to do it after, I think it's 20 years, so it'll be coming up next year. He can actually he gets the rights back to do it, but as a stage play, but not in America. He only gets the UK rights to do it, so he'd have to do it in the West End in London.
Ah, that was it.
Yeah,
I remember him saying on a Smodcast once, something along those lines.
Yeah, but with regards to Clerks 3, because that property doesn't exist anywhere yet, he can do what he wants with that, and therefore he said about possibly doing it as a Broadway production. Now, the biggest hurdle would be Jeff Anderson, who, of course, plays Randall in those movies.
Yes, because it took a while to get him persuaded to do Clerks 2.
Yeah. Now, I know he's coming back to do the new Clerks animated series that they're doing, the web series.
Wait,
do you know about that? Do you know about that?
No.
No? Yeah. Basically, it was announced quite a while ago that Jay Muse was working with the guy who does the Smodimations on doing a Bookman and... I don't know if it was Bookman and Chronic movie. I
know Jay said once he got that guy to animate him, like... turning up at the Smodcast Theatre, sliding in on a zip line, but I thought that was just it.
No.
Him messing around.
No, they were working. I believe they're working on a Bluntman and Chronic animated movie, and also some Clerks, the animated series, new shorts for online. So, and I know Jeff Anderson's coming back to do those. But whether you can persuade Jeff to commit to a 6-month run on Broadway playing Randall, 7 days a week. That'd be pretty cool, but also,
cool, but that'd be the problem. I could see it, if it happened, I'd see it more as, like, instead of being the whole 6-month thing, like maybe 3-night event thing on one of the nights, maybe they put cameras in and film it, like the old school film, filmed versions of, like, Macbeth and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, that I believe that's one of the ideas. Is Kevin Smith was quoted at the screen at the sign-in rather as saying that he'd like to do it as a 6-month Broadway or off-Broadway production, and then on the final night or one of the final nights do it. Like they've been doing recently with Live from Behind and Hollywood Babylon and what have you, getting cameras in and beaming it into cinemas.
Oh yeah.
So that people could see it that way. Yeah. So we'll see.
They actually put screens in England to be able to see it.
Well, fingers crossed. I mean, I know they do stuff like that. I've seen, I've seen Advert for Bon Jovi, beamed live. They've done like Phantom of the Opera, that kind of thing.
They did Ross Noble when he did his Noblism tour.
Yeah, so I mean, they do those shows in England. So I couldn't see it being much more hassle to get it beamed into a cinema here. I mean, obviously you got the time difference, so that'd be fun to deal with. Well, you could always just do it on a time delay, you know what I mean? Just have it recorded like in the night in the US and then play it the next night beam it
Yeah.
to cinemas here.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be too much of a hassle, really.
No, not really.
Yeah. The next bit of news I've got here, you know Kevin Bacon. Everyone knows Kevin Bacon.
Yes.
You ever played 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon?
Yes, when I guested on a podcast a while ago called So You Think You Know, one of the Podcast Network shows, they do a section with the 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Obviously, Kevin Bacon's wife is Carrie Sedgwick, and clearly she has the shortest link to Kevin Bacon. It's just one step away. But it's come out that she's actually got another way to get a link to Kevin Bacon. You know the show Who Do You Think You Are?
Yeah.
When celebrities go and research their family histories and what have you. Well, it turns out that Kevin Bacon and his wife actually did an episode of this in America, and it actually has been discovered that they're actually related to each other. They're actually cousins, probably something like 10th twice removed and all that nonsense. But when you think about it in that sense, they could be going back like 200 years. It's not as creepy as someone like the Queen and Prince Philip, because they're just second cousins once removed. Which, when you think about that, that's they're all
the stereotypical Southern U.S. family.
Oh well, yeah.
Like I said, stereotype.
Well, yes, yeah, of course, because we love anyone who bothers to listen to the show, no matter where they are, and how many.
While we sit here with our tea and scones.
Oh yes, because we're incredibly British. It's actually quite a neat segue from talking about fake royalty to actual Hollywood royalty. No, it doesn't get much better than good old Adam West. Batman back in the 60s. I believe he actually still holds the record for most appearances as Batman.
Yeah, he's appeared in most of the animated shows and stuff as well. I know.
Well, he did the TV series. He did the 60s animated series.
Yeah, in the Batman the Animated Series, where Batman was voiced by Kevin Conroy, he appeared as an old hero in that. Yeah. And then I've been watching
appearances as Batman. He holds the record, because say you've got the live action, you've got the animated, you've got various movies that they've done. Yeah. And Kevin Conroy is, I think he's only about 10 behind him, but Adam West still holds that record at this time.
Yeah. Adam West has been involved in practically everything Batman. I was watching Batman the Brave and the Bold series with my little and Connor, and it got to one where Batman, thanks to the Phantom and some other character that I've forgotten the name of, the Batman went back in time as an appearance, like a apparition thing, to see his parents at this party that they were attending the night before the night they got murdered or something.
Right.
And Thomas Wayne is there dressed as a bat. So Batman's I must have had this costume idea in the back of my head the entire time. And it's the first episode in the Brave and Bold series where Batman actually takes off his cowl and says that he's Bruce Wayne as well. But in there, Thomas Wayne is voiced by Adam West.
Ah, that's pretty cool.
Which is cool.
Yeah. Well, Adam West, I'd say Hollywood royalty, but kind of snubbed by the big wigs of Hollywood for quite some time now. Well, he's actually finally got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Awesome.
It's been a long time coming, but finally the man has got one, and it is all down to the hard work of Ralph Garman, but primarily Ralph Garman and also Seth MacFarlane. Got to give him his due. But between the two of them, they've raised the awareness, because it's not just the people who run the Walk of Fame say, oh, okay, yeah, Adam West, bang, give him a star. It doesn't work like that. They've actually, you've got to raise money and pay for these things. And I think $10,000 was needed, and through the Garmy and through donations from various people and what have you, he's got his star now. He got it this week. He's situated just outside the Guinness World Records showroom thing in Hollywood, which is, I say, it's quite apt considering he holds the record as the most appearances as Batman.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and I say, it's a fitting tribute to the man, and also shows the power that Geekdom has, that we all pitched in and got the man his star, and that he didn't have to spend penny one.
Besides, you'd be a bit, you'd look a bit conceited or vain or something if you turned up at the Hollywood Walk of Fame and go, "I'm buying myself a star."
I'm Batman, give me my star. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, no, it doesn't work like that. I don't know. I mean, the guy's 83 years old and he's still out there giving it large as much as he can. He's Adam West on Family Guy, Mayor West. I mean, that character itself is going to live on as much as Batman has.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good on the man, I say he's 83 years old, still kicking it. And, hopefully, he won't go down, as, Family Guy being his last great role. He's probably got one more in him, I think, at least.
Aye.
And there's rumours that he's got a cameo in Dark Knight Rises, of course, which, see whether that comes to fruition or not, or whether he just happened to be in the UK at the same time as they were filming.
Oh, I forgot they filmed in the UK.
Oh, yeah. We shot a lot of it in the UK, actually. Yeah, but I'd say at the same time as they were filming Dark Knight Rises, the Batman, the live stage show, that was touring at the time, and they happened to be in a similar, location to each other, and Adam West went to the stage show. So there's rumours that whilst he was there, they put him in the Dark Knight Rises, which I think would be quite good. I'd love to see at the end of that film, because they've already said it's going to be the last one. I'd love to see, Batman's defeated Bane, he saved Gotham, and then you cut to, and it's just a title card that says like 20, 30, 40 years later, however long you want, and you just have Adam West sitting in a chair or something, and then and someone calls him Mr. Wayne, or just something like that.
Do you know what would be awesome?
That'd be brilliant.
He sits there, and then Terry McGinnis turns up.
Oh no, yeah.
And then it's like a tease for a new Batman Beyond, or Batman of the Future.
That'd be wicked. That'd be wicked. Yeah. So
pretty cool.
Yeah. So Adam West, I say Hollywood royalty.
Thrills and chills abound in movie news.
We're going to move now to the film section and mark a date on your calendars. It's April 4th, 2014, as that will be the date that Captain America 2 will be opening in cinemas.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I've not even seen the first one yet.
You've not seen Captain America?
No, not yet. I wanted to go see it in the cinema, and then I never got a chance, and I've just never seen it since.
Okay, you've got like 3 weeks, because Avengers comes out very, very soon.
Yeah, I really need to get on that.
For me, Captain America feels the least like a superhero movie out of any of them, because it just feels like a war film with a superhero in it.
Yeah.
And when you see the film, you'll know what I mean. It does feel like, there's a whole sequence where, the Captain America is being used as like a propaganda tool. And
sort of like Dr. Manhattan in Watchmen.
In a sense, yeah. I'd say it will make more sense. I don't want to spoil the movie for you, but it'll make more sense when you see it. I say he's being used as a propaganda tool. They make all these films, starring this fictional character of Captain America being played by in the movie universe a real guy who is Captain America. And it works so well, and you get to see the origins of the costume and what have you, and it just works perfectly. Cause,
I love the way they got it all tied in together. Like I know one of the main things in Captain America is them going after the that cube thingamabob.
Yeah, the cosmic cube. They call it the Tesseract in the movies.
Yeah.
And there you go. You need to see Captain America definitely in order to understand the Avengers, because the Tesseract plays a big part in that movie.
Yeah, that's what I remember seeing.
So anyway, April 4th, 2014. So we're just under 2 years away. Can you believe it?
I'm hoping they get the license back for like X-Men and Spider-Man and stuff, because then they can.
No, I don't think they're ever going to get that back, because Fox and Sony know that X-Men and Spider-Man movies make money. They're just going to keep cranking them out, and the rights will never revert.
Because then they could get Wolverine and Spider-Man on the Avengers like they're supposed to be.
Oh, that would be amazing.
The one thing I'm thinking with Captain America 2 is I'm wondering like what time period they're going to set it in. Whether they're going to do some more. It's
going to be present day.
Oh, it's going to be a present day one.
Yeah. So I
wasn't sure whether they were going to. Oh no, because at the very end of the original Captain America, I presume he gets frozen.
Yes, yeah. He does it right at the beginning of the movie, Captain America: The First Avenger. It's set in the present day where they find him frozen in the ice, and then you have a dissolve back to the 40s, and you see his whole story up through that point where he gets frozen.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, you don't actually see him. Sorry, at the beginning of the movie, you see his shield frozen in the ice. But yeah, so I mean, the question is, who do you have as a villain in Captain America set in the present day? Considering that the only adventure he would have had, that we know of anyway, would have been the Avengers. So he's only really going to have been up against Loki and whatever this alien army is.
You have Sin.
Yeah,
Red Skull's daughter.
That's right, yeah.
Do that, or Red Skull would probably... Well, I don't know, does he... If he dies at the end of Captain America, I suppose you couldn't have Red Skull.
Well, I'm not going to say what happens to him.
No.
But, let's say...
I mean, they could just go through Captain America's, like, foes in...
See, what I would think is you got Baron Zemo, who's very, very long-lived. You could do him, because he's associated with Hydra as well, which is, Hydra are the villains in Captain America. I mean, there are rumours of doing MODOK, having him associated with Hydra and doing MODOK, but I really think MODOK wouldn't work. So yeah, I mean, Captain America, it's going to be a case of who knows. We'll just have to wait and find out for that one. We'll move on then. Which I mean, we've talked about Captain America 2. We've got a date announced that in January of 2013, they're going to be starting to shoot X-Men First Class 2. Now, have you seen First Class?
No.
Oh my God, what is wrong with you, man? That is a really good X-Men film.
Yeah,
it is.
I'm really behind with all my films, because the last film I saw in the cinema was, I think it was Transformers 3, because I went with Daniel and we spent when we came out, I had a whole issue with the end of it saying that, the character of Optimus Prime has had this massive, character development by the end. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, are they going to cover it? And then I'm like, Optimus Prime's character has changed. I wonder what they're going to do with it. Credits.
Yeah, so I didn't care for Transformers 3, to be honest with you. Not much actually happened. It was generally just an hour and a half of this guy moaning that he didn't have a job and that his girlfriend was...
that was one of my main issues. If it had focused on the whole Optimus Prime, Sentinel Prime thing, it would have been better. But they had to focus the first third of the movie on Sam Witwicky going, "Oh, I'm emo, I can't get a job."
It's like if I want to hear people moaning they haven't got a job, I'll go to work.
Being attacked by an Asian guy who says, "My name is Deep Wang," and you're like, "Oh, Jesus,
it's awful." Yeah,
Michael Bay's a racist, so what do you expect?
Well, any views expressed on this podcast
no, seriously. I mean, it just got to a bit near the end where it's got all the battles, and then me and Daniel were just waiting for the black black guy to turn up and go, "Damn, I'm too old. I didn't sign up for this, bro."
No, I mean, we'll get back to the actual story there. I mean, X-Men First Class. I mean, away from the racism. Saying that, there's a girl who's got blue skin in this. I'm sure Michael Bay somewhere is just like, "Argh!" X-Men First Class was a cracking film. I mean, it moves at a pace. It really does. And I mean, some of it doesn't quite link up to the later movies, especially with X3. In as much as you've got Moira McTaggart in X3 is down as a doctor in Scotland. She's Scottish, which she is in the comics and the cartoons and what have you. In First Class, she's a CIA agent, and she's I think she's American. She might be English, but I think she's American. And she basically is investigating Sebastian Shaw and the Hellfire Club, which is how she gets involved in this crazy world of mutants. I mean, that movie, just Magneto, Nazi Hunter, is what they just could have called the first third of that movie. It's brilliant. Because you start off with the Holocaust sequence from X-Men 1, and then it takes it a step further, where Sebastian Shaw is working with the Nazis in the 1940s, which takes us back to Kevin Bacon, funny enough. See, 6 degrees, it's working. So yeah, but the way they get around how he can look the same in the 40s as he does in the 60s is that because he absorbs energy, it keeps him young. No, that's the excuse anyway. But because of all these experiments that the Nazis did on Magneto, when he's all grown up, he goes round the world and hunts down all the Nazis who escaped and tries to kill them all. And and then the CIA are putting together their own mutant team. I mean, you should really just watch the film. I'm just spoiling it for you. But the CIA are putting their own mutant team together, so they find Charles Xavier and Eric Lencher.
X-Men First Class, I think the whole seed of it started because they were doing the whole X-Men Origins thing, and the second film after X-Men Origins Wolverine that they were going to do was going to be X-Men Origins Magneto.
Yeah, and a lot of that
when X-Men Origins Wolverine just like pretty much tanked, they were like, okay, we're not going to touch that anymore. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it probably evolved into First Class.
Yeah, a lot of the Magneto stuff did turn into First Class, yeah. But I mean, it's a crackhead movie. It is. I mean, some of the characters are just like, why are they there? I don't quite understand why they have the Angel Salvatore character. I don't understand why she's in there.
I know someone commented that Darwin, who's a black guy, I know someone commented there was a whole bit where they're talking about something, and someone says about turning all the mutants into slaves, and then just immediately just looks at Darwin because
I don't remember that point.
Apparently everyone, the guys on the podcast who said, or one of the podcast network shows who said they were watching that, felt kind of uncomfortable when that happened.
Yeah, that's the same. I mean, also with that film, there's a lot that does not reconcile. As I've already mentioned, Murray McTaggart, and then the look of Beast. Beast in X-Men First Class does not look anything like Beast in X3. That bugs me, and it just doesn't work for me. The only way you can do it is if you kind of ignore X3 completely. That's the only way. I mean, as much as I know that they're ignoring X-Men Origins Wolverine, that has basically been cast out from canon now, unfortunately, because I did like their version of Sabretooth.
Yeah.
You know, all the stuff with, like, at the end of it where he meets Charles Xavier and, you know, he's walking around and this, that and the other. I mean, it's a spoiler, at the end of X-Men First Class, Charles gets shot in the spine, and that's how he, you know, gets in the wheelchair.
Fair
but I won't tell you how that all comes about. So it doesn't reconcile at all. Again, at the beginning of X3, you know, when Charles and Eric go and see Jean Grey when she's a kid, they you know, Charles walks into the house. No, well, he can't do that if he's already been shot in the spine. So I think that's the only way to get around it, is to kind of cast out 3 and Origins. But I mean, as I say, I mean, X-Men First Class 2, that is coming out. They're not shooting that until January. The main reason being because of Jennifer Lawrence. She plays Mystique in First Class. Of course, she's appearing at the moment in the Hunger Games, and they want to Lionsgate wants to go straight in to Hunger Games 2, which basically wants to shoot in the autumn, which means that X-Men is having to be pushed back to January. But seeing as they hadn't announced a shoot date anyway, you know, fair enough.
I mean, the last one got shot in the First Class. The first one got shot in a ridiculously short amount of time.
Oh yeah.
So they'll probably just do the same thing again.
Well, it just gives them, I mean, more time to work on the script, I suppose. I mean, just because the script of First Class is spot on. I mean, Jane Goldman and Matthew Vaughn just worked tirelessly on that script, and it shows. It shows that the work went into it. It works brilliantly. So yeah, I for one am definitely looking forward to watching X-Men First Class 2, and you should be looking forward to watching X-Men First Class 1. But we're going to move on now from sequels to that dreaded word that I absolutely hate whenever I go onto a movie website now, which is reboot. Universal have decided to reboot the Mummy franchise.
Oh,
yeah, no, so no more Brendan Fraser, unfortunately, which is sad for him and his agent, because he hasn't worked since the last one. You know, I don't see the point in rebooting it, to be honest with you. I mean,
if they reboot the Mummy, are they going to reboot the Scorpion King as
well? Well, there we go.
Because there's been like a billion Scorpion King movies as well.
Like with the Mummy, I always thought that it was Billy Zane who played the Mummy, but it wasn't. It was Arnold Vosloo. And I saw one of the Scorpion King sequels, one of the direct-to-video sequels. I saw it in Tesco the other day, and Billy Zane is in the new sequel. So finally he's made his way into that franchise that I always thought he was in anyway. So
Yeah. And speaking of which, The Mummy was on TV.
I was earlier today, yeah. Yeah, I was watching it.
I mean, yeah. They had it on at Mum's
Good
house.
old Easter viewing.
I completely forgot that there's like the whole thing where he's like, "Oh, I am," what's his name again?
Imhotep.
That Imhotep.
Yeah.
That's it. He's like, "Oh, I'm all powerful," and then Brendan Fraser goes, "Here's a cat," and he goes, "Oh."
Oh, God, yeah. It's just, I mean, who is it? It's Stephen Summers, isn't it? And that's the same guy you brought as Van Helsing. So need I say more? And G.I. Joe.
Van Helsing, where carts randomly explode whenever they get to Budapest.
Yeah, and I say G.I. Joe. He directed that as well. God.
Yeah.
I mean, the man doesn't.
I've got that on DVD and I've not watched it yet.
Don't bother. I watch films. I make sure I watch them the whole way through. So you've got to give something a chance. But G.I. Joe, I switched off halfway through. I just couldn't do it, man.
I'll probably watch that. The only film I've ever done that with was this horror film called Pieces, just because I was like, no, I really can't be bothered with this. And I was renting it from Love Film, so I was like, screw it. Just put it back in the thing and sent it off again.
Yeah, at least you didn't, buy it. Yeah.
If I bought it, I would have watched it all the way through.
Right.
But I just wasn't in the mood for it. But if they're rebooting The Mummy, they need to get the death metal band Nile to do the soundtrack.
Be interesting having a bit more of a hardcore kind of mummy movie, but it all depends on what way they go with it. I mean, we had
if it's like a serious proper thing.
Yeah, I mean,
have Nile because their Egyptian sounding harmonies are just awesome.
All right. I'll have to check that out. I'm not familiar with this stuff, but if it's good,
I'll send you links.
Okay, cool.
I don't know if you're much of a metalhead though.
Well, to a point, yeah, to a point. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that the Mummy franchise has been rebooted. I mean, clearly it was out in the 30s and the 40s, in the heyday of the Universal Monsters. So, Abbott and Costello meet the Mummy and all that, So, I mean, it all depends on...
Well, you said Elvis Costello for a minute.
Yeah. Costello, I've met the Mummy and he's here to stay. That was a bit a bit strange. But it depends what way they go with it, whether they do go around an more action-oriented route, or do they go with their, you never know, they might go with a paranormal activity kind of, you've awoken the curse of the Mummy kind of,
I really hope they don't do paranormal activity found footage type thing.
I don't know. Do you know what? As strange as it is to say, now that I've just said it, I'd quite like to see that film. You shoot it. You got like an Egyptian.
The only film I like the sound of that's got that sort of feel recently is Chronicle.
I haven't watched that yet.
Because
no, I haven't seen it.
No, I just remember hearing reviews and them saying like it's a whole found footage thing, but they get around that with the guys like having powers. And
doesn't he levitate the camera with his mind?
Yeah, his psychic powers get so good that he's just levitating the camera and operating it just with his mind. So you get all these crane shots and stuff, which are perfectly explained in the story because he's using his powers to levitate the camera all over the place.
The best found footage films for me is Wreck and Wreck 2. I mean, they are just perfect uses of that genre. And when they announced Wrecks 3 and 4, Wreck Apocalypse, I believe, is number 3, and Wreck Genesis... Oh, no, the other way around. Wreck Genesis is number 3, and Wreck Apocalypse is number 4. Wreck Genesis is a prequel, and I just thought, how can they keep that going for 4 whole movies? And I've heard that what they're doing with... Because Wreck 2 had its premiere, and there's people there who said, basically... Wreck 3 had its premiere, and people have said that it's set at a wedding. So there's all these video cameras and stuff of people recording the wedding reception, but then when shit goes down, people turn to the camera and do exactly what you and I would do in that situation. Say, why are you still filming this? And they say, oh, right, okay. And they put the camera down and it turns into a proper, regular filmed movie.
Oh, that sounds pretty cool.
It's going against the trend, basically, of what they're known to do. And
I just like the fact the first ever found footage film is still Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah, it's still one of the best as well. I mean, if we're talking kind of found footage movies, I mean, obviously Blair Witch is up there, but it's boring.
That's the one that everyone thinks of as the first found footage.
It's boring. Well, there was one that came before that, not Cannibal Holocaust, but one called The Last Broadcast, which is done as a mockumentary, but with found footage in it as well at the same time. And it's basically this guy is trying to find out what. Well, there's this team of people who do a show for like the local cable access channel, and they go out into the woods to do a story about the Jersey Devil, and are never heard from again. Only one guy comes back, and he's basically charged with their murder, and gets put in prison, and he dies in prison. And it's this guy who decides he's going to try and find out what actually happened out there in the woods. And so he's interviewing people who knew them and what have you, and he's using footage from the broadcast that they did out in the woods and what have you, and it's cracking. It really is cracking, I've got to say.
Cool. I need to check that out.
Yeah.
I
saw that.
Wreck, because I'd never heard of it until you just mentioned it.
You've never seen Wreck? Oh, God, dude, I'm going to do you a list of films you need to watch. It's fantastic. No, but
worries.
Last Broadcast is spot on. I mean, I saw that. It was Channel 4. It must have been 99 or 2000 or something like that. I remember I'd gone away for the weekend. I used to be in the Air Cadets. I'd gone away for the weekend, and it was Channel 4's horror weekend. And I had to set the video for over 2 nights. And they played Texas Chainsaw. They played Last Broadcast. They played a documentary called Scream and Scream Again, all about various horror films. They played Scream 1 and also Death Race 2000.
Oh, Death Race 2000 is amazing.
All of that over 2 nights. It was just, and I'd say I was away, so I had to set the video. So I set it on long play and recorded everything on a timer. And it was, it was well worth it.
My favourite film out of that list has got to be Death Race 2000. I saw that back on when the Toonami channel on Sky was originally called CNX, and they used to play like films late at night. I saw Death Race 2000 on there, and I remember just watching it and thinking, because I didn't realise at the time that the computer games Carmageddon originally started off as it was going to be a computer game of Death Race 2000.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but they couldn't get the licensing for it, so they remade it as like they redid all the cars and stuff, and modelled them differently and made removed a storyline or something, or changed it a bit and just made it as Carmageddon instead and used the same basic principle.
Oh, I didn't know that. Learn something new every day.
But that film's just amazing. I just like the bit where they're driving past such and such a hospital, so all the nurses wheel out all these people and just leave them in the middle of the road so they get smacked with the cars.
It is a great movie. But seeing as you just reminded me then, talking about Toonami and CNX, CNX was Cartoon Network Extreme or whatever it was. That leads me actually quite nicely into our next story, which is about Cartoon Network and one of their shows that they have on there, which is Ben 10. And there's actually a big screen live action movie being written as we speak.
God.
I know. Now I've never seen Ben 10, but my mate, my mate Paul,
seen bits of it.
My mate Paul, his son loves it, and every time I go around there, he's always showing me the toys and stuff. And there's one about a big gorilla with spider legs sticking out of his back, and there's another one who looks a bit like Tony the Tiger on steads, and there's some weird things. And from what I know of Ben 10, it's about a kid who wears a watch, and then he presses the watch and says different types of aliens, and he transforms into that alien. It's pretty much that. Well, so they're doing a live action film of that. Now there have been a couple of live action direct to video movies, but they're kind of being ignored for this purpose, and they're doing it as a big screen adaptation. And if I'm right, I believe it's it's a Joel Silver movie, I think, if I'm not entirely mistaken. I'll just double check that for you.
It's like newer cartoons and stuff like that.
I just don't follow
especially
them.
kids cartoons.
Joel Silver
had an issue with them.
It is Joel Silver. Yeah.
Ah, okay. I had an issue with them making like live action films. It's like I remember once driving Connor to over to see his grandma, and I just looked at the side of a bus, and they were like a live action movie of Horrid Henry, and I was like, oh god.
Yeah, my ex, her little sister, loves Horrid Henry, and I said to her, well, so, when it comes out, we'll go and see it. And obviously me and the ex split up between, then and when the movie came out. So as soon as it was out on DVD, I bought her the DVD instead, just to kind of fulfill my end of the promise, And I mean, she loves it. I mean, as far as I can tell, it's Dennis the Menace with a different name, essentially.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And no pet dog.
Yeah.
And the pet, I think in that the parents actually have names.
Oh, right. Well, he's got names in. No, they haven't got names in Dennis the Menace. They're just Mum and Dad, aren't they?
Dennis the Menace, they're just called Mum and Dad.
Which my dad seems to be turning into Dad from Dennis the Menace more and more every day, to be honest with you. But yeah.
I used to watch the cartoon of that.
Yeah, and fun trivia fact about that is the voice of Dennis the Menace back in the cartoon was I don't know if it was in the old cartoon, but definitely in the newer cartoon that they did recently, was Sophie Aldred did the voice of Dennis, and she was Ace, the Doctor's companion, back in the day. Yeah, she does loads there. But yeah, she's the voice of Dennis the Menace. Yeah, it's an interesting little trivia fact. I mean, they do everything on cartoons now. Everything just comes round in a circle. It's like they've rebooted Thundercats.
Yeah, that's apparently really good.
So I'm told, but I couldn't sit down and watch it.
I never saw the original Thundercats.
I was just at the age when it first came out, when I was just like, yeah, this is rocking. But they made out the toys and stuff. You had that Mum-Ra that used to put. You had Mum-Ra's castle, and you put Mum-Ra on the step and turn it round. Put the mummy version, turn it round, and the big steaded up version would come out the back and stuff. You had all that. Whereas I had the Ghostbusters, I had the fire station, which had the doors you could push the car through, and it had the pole, the fire pole, that you stick your figures on the little standy bit and press the button to release it, and they spin round and come to the bottom. I had all that. Cool. Yeah.
No, I always had. I think I had Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles, as it was here, and
I had them,
and like Transformers, definitely Transformers.
I remember.
I was a big Transformers guy.
I remember having an Optimus Prime when I was a kid, and he had the trailer, and the trailer could open up into like this mobile command center. I
never had an Optimus Prime figure until more recently, where like they did the 20th anniversary thing for the 1986 cartoon movie.
Yeah.
So they released a toy of Optimus Prime for it.
All right.
I was with my ex-wife at the time, and I said, "I don't care what you think, I'm buying that." And then she ended up buying it for me for my birthday. I was like, "Yay!"
Oh, that's wicked. That is wicked.
Yeah, it's still on my mantelpiece at the minute.
Well, anyway, we'll move on to our next piece, which is, of course, now Arnold Schwarzenegger, as obviously he's not the governor of California anymore, and he's going out and doing whatever films kind of take his fancy. I know he's doing The Expendables 2, and he's supposed to be doing some film where he's like a horse trainer or something, a cowboy or something. I don't know what's going on there. But he's gone on record, people have asked him about sequels to his movies, whether he'd go back and do a sequel. And he said he'd love to do another True Lies, or he'd love to do another Terminator, because he didn't think much of Terminator Salvation. In fact, he's gone on record, I believe his exact quote was, "It was shit." And one film that he said he definitely wants to do a sequel to is Twins.
What?
Yeah, he wants to do a sequel to Twins with Danny DeVito. Now, considering the first movie came out in 1988, when we're quite far past the point of there's no natural sequel that comes from this. This is a full-on shoehorn moment, and what is it? Nearly 25 years since the first one. I mean, and the story that he wants to do for Twins 3, Twins 2, is triplets, and yeah, I know, and considering that Arnold Schwarzenegger, big muscly guy. Danny DeVito, short fat guy. Who's the logical triplet for them? In Arnold Schwarzenegger's mind, it's Eddie Murphy.
Wait, what?
Yep. He's decided that, the two white guys who are twins somehow have a third brother, but he's black.
I already presumed that they're fraternal twins, rather than.
Well, they're done in a lab, aren't they? The whole plot of Twins is that they were kind of genetically engineered children. They made a batch of them and took the best traits of each child and put them into Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's why he's the model of perfection, whereas Danny DeVito gets all the crap genes. And they want to say they want to say that there was another baby made in the experiment, and that's he got the black genes apparently.
Yeah, they were like, okay, we've got the muscly one who's going to exercise a lot. We've got the slob one. Now we just need one that'll annoy Michael Bay.
Now we need one that can be good for the first part of his career, but to be dreadful and awful in everything else that he does. And
we need Eddie Murphy. You said, right?
Yeah, that's who I'm talking about. Have you seen Norbert? Oh Jesus Christ! I watched that the other week.
I was going to say that we've got the muscly one, the fat one, and now we need one to fit in this leather suit.
Yeah, then we need one that can talk to animals. That was on today. Dr. Dolittle. Jesus Christ. God, I don't know what happened around about just after the Nutty Professor. In fact, no, just after Bowfinger, he just went crap. I don't know what it is. He just stopped being good, and it's a shame. It is a damn shame because he used to be good. But would it take another Beverly Hills Cop movie to make him good again? Just don't know.
Yeah.
Well, that's enough about films that.
So long as the theme for a new Beverly Hills theme wasn't a stupid crazy frog.
Oh yeah. No, that's something probably Arnie you'd try and get into triplets. It's like, how do we know he's our brother? I know, he's got the crazy frog ringtone. I'd say enough about films that, are yet to be made. Let's go into ones that actually have been made and are coming out fairly soon. I don't know if you saw the trailer this week for Ted.
Trailers. No, I'm about to watch it now.
Yeah, you need to see it. Especially the red band trailer is funnier than the green band trailer. We'll just give you a minute to watch the trailer and then come back and talk about it.
This one, it's a film actually directed by Seth MacFarlane.
That's right. It's his live action directorial debut, and it stars Mark Wahlberg as a guy who, when he was a child, made a wish that his teddy bear would come to life, and it did. But then, what do you do for the rest of your life? The teddy grows up with him, and ends up getting Seth MacFarlane's Peter Griffin voice, pretty much. And I say.
Oh yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, it's an odd one, I've got to say. I'll let you watch the end of the trailer and then we'll talk about it.
It's obvious that it's a Seth MacFarlane thing, but sorry, it's just a fuck you thunder song.
Oh yeah. You haven't got to
the fact that it's got Mila Kunis in it.
Ralph Garman's in it as Marky Mark's dad when he was a kid. He's at the beginning.
Ooh, Ralph Garman's in it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And he's got lines.
Wait, this Marky Mark isn't the same Marky Mark as from New Kids on the Block, is it?
Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
That's it. The one that...
You're thinking of Donnie Wahlberg, aren't you?
No, I'm thinking of... there's another Mark Wahlberg who was like an actor or something. The one who Entourage is basically based on his
Marky
life.
Mark. Yeah, that's him. Mark Wahlberg. It's the same guy.
The bear's voice is sort of a combination of Seth MacFarlane's Peter voice and Brian voice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not as whiny as the Peter Griffin voice, is it? Whilst you're watching
that bit where they were doing the whole the names thing, where he said, "That's it. That sounds like Seth MacFarlane's like Brian." Well, I say
voice,
Brian voice. It's just his voice.
Yeah. Whilst you were just doing that, I was just checking up on the New Kids on the Block Wikipedia page, and apparently Mark Wahlberg was in them in the early days, but then quit and went to do the Funky Bunch. But Donnie Wahlberg stayed in them. So, we were both kind of right there. You've had a chance to watch the trailer now. What do you think?
It looks pretty cool. I want to see it.
Yeah, I mean, it is a good conceit. I mean, we've all seen those films where where the kid wishes and things come to life and what have you. So it's nice to see the actual progression of that, where it's like, okay, well, now that what would be the film about the kid, being like a loser and stuff, and the Teddy, gives him his confidence and blah 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 blah, is what happens after that film finishes. Where does life go for this Teddy and this kid? And apparently it doesn't go anywhere. It just goes to sitting on the couch smoking weed and eating cereal out of the packet. And I mean, looking at the trailer, it's just going to be like You, Me, and Dupree, but with a teddy bear instead of he's the traditional annoying roommate character, and by the you'll end up moving out, and by the end of it, they'll know that they can't live together and they can't live without each other rather. And, they become best mates again. I mean, that movie writes itself. But given Seth MacFarlane's sensibilities, how does that story pan out? So that'll be it's certainly one to keep an eye out for. Yeah.
Definitely.
I'm going to see it. I know that much. But one film I don't think I'm going to go and see, though, would be another film that the trailer hit this week, which is...
Yeah, I'm just watching that one.
The microphone just decided to fall down. It's Total Recall. Total Remake, as I think it should probably be called. Which has the mark of any quality movie in it, Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at the trailer
now, it actually doesn't look too bad from what I can see so far.
See, it looks like the exact same movie as the first one, except with
all high tech.
But with the set from the first Judge Dredd movie.
Yeah.
And the fact that they give away in the trailer that his wife is isn't really his wife, she's an agent and stuff. That was a big reveal for me in the movie when I saw it when I was younger, in the first movie, and the fact that they give it.
Oh, I really don't like these camera movements.
And the whole,
Yeah, it was just doing the whole like a fight scene thing, and the camera was just flying all over the place. I was like, ooh.
Well.
Ooh, wait, hold on. Does this have Kate Beckinsale?
It does indeed. I was just about to come to that. Movie's directed by...
I'm watching it just because it's got her in it.
Well, the movie's directed by Len Wiseman, who is Mr. Kate Beckinsale, also director of the Underworld movies. And it appears that he's gone down the same route as the guy who directed Resident Evil, because he married Milla Jovovich and stuck her in every bloody film that he does since then. What is it? It's Paul W.S. Anderson. That guy.
Is he married to her?
He's married to Milla Jovovich, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they met on Resident Evil 1, and the rest is history.
I just my favourite film of his is probably Event Horizon.
I was going to say that. That's a classic film. It's a great film.
Yeah.
God knows what happened to the rest of his career, where he just decided to make Resident Evil movies for the rest of his days.
I think he only writes them now.
No, I'm sure he's directed the last couple. I know he did. He directed number 1. I know he directed number 4.
I was going to say 2 and 3, definitely.
No, he didn't direct them. I know that much. I think we're on number 5 or 6 is the new one. I don't remember now. Who would have thought to be a world would be 5 Resident Evil movies?
Yeah, I just finished watching the Total Recall trailer. It actually looks pretty cool to me.
But isn't it just the same film?
Yeah, that's one thing. Except for the one thing I'm going to miss is the whole end bit where I'm pretty sure it's Total Recall. The end bit where they're on the surface of Mars and it's just got Arnie with his eyes popping out going,
Give the people air. Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the day...
That's the one problem with the remaking Total Recall, is the fact that you can do the same basic plot, but it's not going to have anywhere as near many quotable one-liners in it.
I mean...
Like, get your ass to Mars and Like,
see you at the party, Victor.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, back when I used to work in,
I almost said ice to see. Or...
It's I mean, I used to work in a in like a home store where they sold all kinds of like soaps and domestic stuff and pet food, all this kind of stuff. And I used to work the evening shift in there once everyone had gone home. I was stocking the shelves and what have you. And me and a guy used to work with, Richie, we loved Total Recall so much that what we did is we recorded clips of it on our mobile phones. And just out of nowhere, in the middle of the shop on nights, we just hit the intercom, go bing boom, and we play in the clip. So you just hear bing boom, see you at the party, Victor. Just down the intercom, or just hey man, I got 5 kids to feed. Just stuff like that over the intercom. Oh, brilliant.
Nice.
It's just so many brilliant. Consider that a divorce.
That's the problem that this new Total Recall film is going to have. The actual whole action-wise and stuff looks cool. I'm going to give it a chance. But like I said, it's not going to live up to... It probably won't live up to what the original did.
It's got too much CGI, whereas the original had barely any CGI at all, practical for the most part.
Back then it was like CGI was really rubbish.
Oh yeah, I mean the only kind of CGI in that movie that I can think of is, and it's not even real CGI, is the part where he's going through the X-ray, X-ray walkway. Is they were going to do some kind of motion capture for that. If you listen to the commentary for the original, Paul Verhoeven says on the commentary, they were going to do motion capture, but it didn't work properly. So what they did is they had a camera around the other side of the screen, filming people walking, and what they did is they just took that footage and basically did cell animation over the top of it.
And then just drew over it. Yeah.
And it works brilliantly. If you watch that film, it just works perfectly. So I say I'm kind of in two minds about that. I'll probably see it, but I don't expect to like it. So this is usually the point in the show where we would talk about any films that we have seen recently. As we know, you barely watch anything. So have you seen anything this week at all?
Let's see. The most recent film I've been... most of the stuff I've been watching has been like internet reviews and stuff like that. But the last film I watched in the past week or so was... I really had an urge to rewatch Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. And thanks to that, I'm wanting to try hallucinogens.
Wow. That's not something that we at Attack of the 50-Foot Nerds would condone out there, but also we wouldn't condemn it at the same time.
If you want to, then fine.
Go right ahead.
No, I mean, I just like that film. I forgot how just completely all over the place it was. Although now, when I first saw it ages ago, I just thought it was a weird film. But now, knowing it was directed by Terry Gilliam...
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't realise.
Fingerprints are all over.
When I very first saw it, but I didn't pay attention to these things back then. And then, when I was watching it more recently, I found out it was directed by him. I was like, looking at the film, and knowing it was directed by him, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like, if I ever go, I want to go to like a comic convention or like a media convention or something dressed as Raoul Duke. Well, the next convention I'm going to is the Manchester MCM Comic Expo thing. Yeah. And I'm going as a character I made up myself called Dr. Space.
Oh, was that the thing you tweeted the other day about what gadgets you could have?
Yeah. And it was basically just this whole mad scientist thing, and I'm pulling all these random gadgets out of my pockets and talking in a strange voice like this and stuff like that the entire time.
Okay.
And hopefully we're going to do the same thing as we did last year, which is on the way there, stop in McDonald's.
Doing McGangbangs.
And,
lovely.
Order a McGangbang.
I've had to explain that to people so many times this weekend. If you listen, you don't know what
I posted it on Twitter. You asked what it was, and then someone else asked what it was as well. And I mean, all the time I've been just putting links up to the cinema snob.
I think we should probably explain what one is. And in the briefest of simplest of terms, what you do is you go to McDonald's, you order a McDouble with
McChicken sandwich meal.
No, well, I did it with the chicken mayo because it's cheaper. It's only 99p. You can do it with the. I mean, it's exactly the same as a McChicken sandwich, but slightly smaller. Yeah.
Oh,
you get a double cheeseburger.
Gangbang mini then.
Yeah, I had a gangbang mini. I had a mini bang. You get a double cheeseburger. You tear it in half, so you've got a bun and a burger on one side, bun and a burger on the other. You put your chicken in the middle, bun and all, whack it all together, and bite. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I think what I'm going to ask next time.
Me and Daniel were theorising about making one that's like you get the McChicken sandwich meal, and then a Big Mac meal, and then a double cheeseburger and sandwich them all together.
Wow, that'd be.
And we were like, the only logical name to call it would be a McGang rape.
No, that'd be the McHuman centipede or something like that.
Yeah, I think that was the other name I was considering for it, the McCentipede.
That'd be wicked. Coming soon from Tom Six, the McHuman centipede. No, I mean, definitely try it out there if you've not had one before. I mean, it's brilliant. I mean, what I had as well is I saw this online and I figured I'd ask them for it. Would be because there's no reason why they can't do this. I mean, you walk into McDonald's, you ask for a vanilla milkshake, they fill the whole cup up with vanilla milkshake. I asked for a Neapolitan, vanilla on the bottom, strawberry in the middle, chocolate on the top. All comes out the same machine. And what you do is when you're drinking it, you start with vanilla and then slowly you'll feel it start to go from vanilla into strawberry and then from strawberry to chocolate. It's brilliant. It is.
Yeah,
gorgeous.
I really need to try
You
that.
need to.
That sounds awesome.
It's great.
But yeah, when we were going to Comic-Con last year, when I was dressed as Dr. Space Cube, no, I wasn't dressed as Dr. Space Cube for this. I was for this, I was still in costume, but it wasn't really a costume. It was basically me dressed as my normal metalhead self, except mainly like black and
right, okay,
like like a plain black shirt rather than any logos or anything.
Right,
and having the like sort of corpse painty type thing and shaved off my beard and that because and took out my nose piercing. Because I was going for the like Nathan Explosion from Metalocalypse when he's on stage. So we went into my sister was dressed as Harley Quinn at the time as well. So we went into McDonald's and went in. Except I was acting normally. I said this year, the entire time I wear the Dr. Space Cube costume, I'm going to stay in character. Nice. So if we go into McDonald's, I'm going to be ordering stuff in that weird voice.
See, I do this character called Clive, who I mean, if you're on Twitter, in fact, we should probably give a shout out to our Twitter pages at the moment. I'm at Mike G Bell, MikeGBell.
Mine's Vaults of Extoth. Vaults of EXTOTH, no spaces.
I have this character called Clive Rochdale, who's at Clive Rochdale.
Oh, is that what that is?
Character.
I wasn't sure if that was a separate person.
No, it's me. It's basically I grow a moustache, I throw on my suit jacket and a yellow shirt and a pair of jeans, and and for some reason when I've got the costume on, I just am Clive. I can't be Mike. It's very strange, and he's the ultimate ladies man who's never had a woman, and. So yeah, I mean, I find it very easy to stay in character as Clive. It's
yeah, that's why I was debating on making a Twitter account for Dr. Space.
You should do. I mean, I did a mystery, a whole Twitter mystery. You followed it over the course of 2 weeks. Clive, he had a date with this girl, and he ended up going back to her house, and then he wakes up the next morning and she's not there, and he's been basically he's in the frame for kidnapping. And it's all about him trying to track down the actual girl and who's really kidnapped her. And that was good fun, actually, plotting that out. And he ended up going to Russia and all kinds, just through... it was odd. But anyway, we're coming off the point now. We're going to move into our next section now, which is Andy's section, which is all about the latest comic news.
Squirm in fear! It's time to talk comics!
Okay, so what's going on?
Yeah, basically, the first one I'm going to approach is this 2012 Eisner Awards that dropped the best new series for level of quality in eligible submissions, which is the Eisner Award nominees for 2012 were announced. This one was on the what the hell date was this?
No idea.
Oh, April the 5th. So what day is it today?
It is
it's
the
6th or
I think
8th.
it's the 8th.
So this was a few days ago, as of recording. If anyone listens to this, it'll probably be later. But yeah, they announced the other day the nominees for 2012 for the Eisner Awards.
For anyone who doesn't know,
and,
so I've dropped my microphone again. The Eisner Awards are basically comic world's basically the Oscars, essentially.
Yeah, they're like the comic industry awards, and loads of people. Like if you know something's Eisner has got an Eisner, you can pretty much tell that it's going to be awesome. Like the Scott Snyder series, American Vampire, that's won a few Eisner Awards, and I can highly recommend that series. That series is awesome. But yeah, they announced the nominees the other day, and 2 new categories appeared: the Best Publication for Early Readers and Best Academic/Educational Work. But 4 other categories were missing from the list, which was Best Writer and Artist for Non-Fiction, Best Adaptation from Another Medium, Best New Painter, and the most surprising one, which Best New Series. The awards administrator Jackie Estrada explained the decision in a press release that accompanied it, and they're he's quoted as saying, "The judges chose not to have the new series and painter categories this year because they didn't find enough contenders that reached the level of quality they were looking for." However, Estrada also said the extent and quality of the material submitted in the kids and teen categories was so high that the judges felt dividing these books into 3 categories was warranted.
So basically, they've just said not on you that came out was any good this year. This is essentially what they're saying there. There's been every new series that came out this year
I think
was shit.
To be fair, they probably got slightly thrown off because DC had that New 52 reboot. And if you want to be technical, seeing as all of those went down to number 1s, all 52 of those can technically be counted as a new book. So
that's going to be a pain.
Yeah. I don't know whether they decided to count those, but quite a few of the New 52 have got into the list of submitted for the best new series and stuff.
Right.
I mean, like for the Eisner Awards, stuff like Animal Man, Aquaman, Batwing, iVampire. You've got Orchid in there. That's not that's an IDW series. Orchid was that's another comic I could recommend. Orchid's actually written by Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine.
Okay.
And it's if you're interested in his stuff, go look it up. It's pretty cool, and basically this dystopian future type thing. And you've got Swamp Thing of the New 52 has been nominated as well, and the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series as well.
Well, we'll be talking a lot more about the Ninja Turtles later on in the show.
Yeah, I'll bring up the IDW series then as well, which unfortunately I haven't read, but I've heard good things. Anyway,
let's hope Michael Bay reads it.
Yeah. Comics Alliance, actually, about this Eisner thing, Comics Alliance reached out to Estrada for more information about the decision to drop the Best New Series. She provided a list of all the titles that were submitted by publishers for the category, which is what I was getting stuff, that list, those titles from that list from. And she added, if a title's on the list, that doesn't necessarily mean it was eligible in the category. It means the publisher or creator submitted it in that category.
Right, okay.
Like, there's among, like, there's the DC 52 ones that I said. There's stuff like Daredevil and Game of Thrones one, and Kirby Genesis, Punisher, Skull Kickers, SpongeBob Comics, Voltron.
Oh, Voltron.
Yeah. Estrada also confirmed that judges were allowed to suggest books that had not been submitted by publishers if felt something was missing from a category. And the addition of the early readers and academic educational category seems like a smart move. that quite fairly draws attention to the slew of excellent comics being produced in those areas. I'm quoting this from the article I found on Comics Alliance, by the way. To the slew of excellent comics being produced in those areas, work that is all too often ignored by the comics press, present company included. And then they seem to be doing the practical thing, but a deletion of the category as fundamental as best new series seems like a bad idea.
Yeah.
3 titles nominated for best continuing series had #1 issues during the eligibility period, which was Daredevil, Rachel Rising, and Ultimate Spider-Man.
Well, it's Ultimate Spider-Man. Yes, it's a continuing series, but yeah, I don't know if you would class it. I mean, technically, yes, it is a new series as it focuses on a guy who's not Peter Parker. It is literally page 1. You don't have to know anything. I mean, Ultimate Spider-Man, when it first came out back around 2000 or whenever it was, I mean, that was Peter Parker Spider-Man. It was the story we all know and love. Whereas Miles Morales, we don't know anything about this kid. His story could go anywhere. So in that sense, I would class that as a new series.
Yeah, it's like I'm just looking through the article. They've actually got something about it. The Estrada confirmed that the 3 titles were on the list of submissions. But it said, but I'm not sure Daredevil will be eligible since it's a reboot of a long-running title, as were many of the DC 52 ones. But then Comic Alliance's David Asmeri observed, superhero reboot of Invincible Iron Man by Matt Fraction and Salvador LaRocca didn't prevent that from winning it Best New Series in 2009. So, I don't know, maybe it was just because of the fact that there was... like I said, because the New 52 and other series relaunching and stuff like that, maybe they just left it off for this year.
Because they didn't want DC monopolising it.
That many stuff. Yeah. That much stuff. And like you said, seeing as DC had 52 technically new titles, they probably would have run away with it.
Yeah.
So it's probably best idea to
come back next year
leave it off for this year.
We'll see what happens.
Back to it next year. If it's a permanent thing, getting rid of best new series, that's really not the best thing to do.
Aye,
but
I can imagine. What else have we got in the world of comics then?
The last thing I've got is on comic book resources. I'm going through there, and you found this one actually, the Abandoned and Forsaked Archive, which is archive of the articles Abandoned and Forsaked, which is a whole thing about comic book stories and ideas that weren't
seen through to their
only abandoned.
Really,
yeah, not only abandoned, but had the stories and plot specifically overturned by a later writer. And I picked out a few of the articles that caught my eye.
I sent you the link. I've not really read any of these myself, so this is all coming fresh to me.
Yeah, so the first one is The Little Mermaid is Dead, or Is She? Which is all throughout December. During the breakdowns crossover, some rogue members of the Justice League headed to the Global Guardians to investigate a conspiracy involving attempted assassination on Maxwell Lord. Right. And then in Justice League Europe 30, they show up and discover that most of the Global Guardians were frozen, unable to move. Jack-o'-lantern and Owlwoman show up, and they have a fight with rogue team members. The article has, the main articles have pictures of from the actual comic.
strips, yeah.
And then the Guardian, known as Little Mermaid, her name seemed much different before 1989, was killed. And Ice is especially sad because she was teammates with Little Mermaid at the time.
But they don't. They forget this is comics, and no one stays dead for long in comics.
Well, as soon as Johnny Storm died, they were like, "Oh, I wonder when he's going to come
back."
Well,
exactly. Yeah. Especially seeing as we didn't see him die on panel. You know what I mean? It was an off panel there.
Unlike with Thor and
how many times has Professor X died?
Bucky, Captain America.
Yeah, you know.
God knows. It's like during the Fear Itself thing that they did as an event last year. Thor died at the end, and Bucky, Captain America, died.
Right.
In one of the issues, So then Steve Rogers became Captain America again.
Right.
But then they were like, oh yeah, Thor's got to die at the end. But already he's like in the Mighty Thor
It's got
series.
ongoing, yeah.
Yeah, he's basically working his way to come back.
Right.
And at the very end of The Fear Itself 7.3, I think it is, Captain America, Steve Rogers gets called into this room, and then Bucky's still alive, and they're like, yeah, we wanted a Winter Soldier back, so so we faked Bucky's death and left a replica in its place, in place of his body, and it's like, what?
Sometimes they know these characters sell books, so that's why they bring them back. But it's like, don't insult my intelligence. You know what I mean? If you're gonna kill someone, kill them. It's like, that's the good thing about the Ultimate Spider-Man story at the moment, is the fact that they killed Ultimate Spider-Man, and there's no hint of him ever coming back at the moment, which is it's fine by me, because it takes Spider-Man in a whole new direction. I remember when Beast died quite early on in Ultimate X-Men, and then he came back. But the only way to bring him back was to give him, like, they genetically did something with his genetics or something like that. It turned his hair blue, and then eventually down the line, obviously, became the Beast that we all know and love. But yeah, it was like, even early on, they were like, oh well, people may die, but we've got a good reason why this guy dies and then comes back. And then I think they killed what's his name, Colossus. I think they killed him later down the line, and he came back fairly soon after as well. But I think he was resurrected by a Hellfire Club or something. I'm probably completely wrong, and people are shouting at their iPods or computers, whatever, to listen to it on. It's been a while since I've read them books.
Yeah.
But
we'll have to set up an email account or something.
Yeah.
So people can actually email us and say, you got this wrong.
Yeah, because there's going to be huge gaps in my comics knowledge. But and I say, it's been a long time since I read any of the Ultimate books.
I'm a fairly new reader, so all the stuff I know is more recent. But yeah, basically with that whole Little Mermaid character being dead, like she died in the thing, and then in a later story where that group turns up again, being controlled by an evil guy, she's actually back on the team. Which
and
is
did they explain it?
Did she die or not? No, not really. But then later it shows that team again putting up a memorial for members they'd lost, and she was in the statue for the memorial. Now the next one I've got from here is one called "Is This Really the Origin of Ultimate Iron Man?" So basically, in 2005, Marvel did an origin miniseries for Ultimate Iron Man.
I've got it, yeah.
Which, interesting series, but they did some dramatic changes to the concept, including making Tony's whole genetic structure quite unusual.
Yeah,
but
basically what they did is that it's something like they experimented on Tony in the womb or something, or Tony's mum had an injection while she got pregnant or something, and basically the way they've said it is that it affected Tony's cells in as much as every single cell in his body is a brain, and they're all constantly thinking, which is why when he's a kid, he's in constant agony, so they have to do something like where they paint him, and that numbs his cells, and then when he's older, that's why he drinks so much, why he's an alcoholic, because the booze numbs the pain. Also, he's got a twin brother as well in the Ultimate line now, which is never hinted at all in the first Ultimate Iron Man origin story whatsoever. It's never even mentioned. But yes, I think they did something where they have to paint him, or he's got some kind of nano suit on or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he grew back limbs.
See, I don't remember that part.
Stuff like that.
I don't remember that part.
Yeah. There's a bit where he's talking to I think it's his dad. He's like, my brain's not in my head and my feet grow back when I cut them off. I'm a real freak. And the other guy responds, most people don't slice off their own feet.
That's advice for us all there.
Yeah.
No, it is a bit of a stretch, because, I mean, considering Tony Stark had been in Ultimate Team Up, he's in one of the very, very first Ultimate Team Ups. He's in that, he's in obviously the Ultimates. Not once is it mentioned that he's got these brains all over his body.
No one really used this concept in later comics, apparently.
Yeah.
outside of Warren Ellis in the miniseries Ultimate Human.
Yes, yeah.
And New
That's
Ultimates
cracking
vs.
story, yeah.
Ultimate Avengers #2. Mark Miller finally wrote that origin out of existence by explaining that it was a show within a show in the Ultimate Universe.
So
it was actually a cartoon. It was a cartoon show in the that was on TV in the Ultimate Universe.
Okay, it's kind of what he did with Ultimate Team Up, where he met the Fantastic Four, because the Fantastic Four and Ultimate Team Up are basically the 616 version, where Parker goes to the Baxter Building, and Herbie's there, and Herbie tells them all this story about how, they went off to space, this, that, and the other, and their origin in that issue is completely different to their origin in the Ultimate Fantastic Four comic series. So basically, they kind of said that issue of Team Up is out of continuity. I suppose that's kind of what they're doing with Ultimate Iron Man then. But Ultimate Human, if you ever get a chance to read that, it's brilliant. It's Bruce Banner, who's presumed dead, because they put him on this barge in the middle of the ocean and dropped a nuclear bomb on it, because they decided that he was too dangerous to be around. So they dropped a nuclear bomb on him, but obviously he survives, and he goes missing for ages, and he comes back, and he seeks out Tony Stark and says, "Look, I don't want to be the Hulk anymore, help me." And Tony Stark finds the Hulk genes and what have you, and basically puts nanobots, I think it is, into his body that consistently suppress the Hulk genes, but at the same time, so that actually cures him from being the Hulk. But at the same time, the leader and his basically his cronies attack Stark Industries because they know that the Hulk is there, and the leader's got this big frail body but a gigantic head. He has to wear, them Halo things that people wear when they've got a broken neck. He has to wear one of them to support his massive head. But he wants the Hulk's power so that his body, which is all frail and stuff, he needs strength to basically hold his own neck up, and so they attack the Stark Industries and stuff, and Tony gets taken captive, blah blah blah, and the only way to save him is basically to turn off the nanomachines inside his body. But if he turns them off, then the Hulk genes will adapt, and the nanomachines will never be able to turn back on to stop the Hulk genes. And so it's basically, you either save Tony's life, save the world, or you're stuck as the Hulk forever. Obviously we know the choice that he makes, but it's a great little read. You should dig that out. I think it's a 4-issue miniseries or something like that. It's not long at all, but it is good. It's really good.
I'm gonna skip over the rest of them, but go on to comicbookresources.com and look this up. The other ones I picked out as interesting. I'll just quickly skim them. It's like Spider-Woman's origin, being that she got her powers because she's actually a spider that got evolved by this high evolutionary guy who evolved her into a woman.
As you do.
There's one where, for some reason, North Star is an elf. Oh, here's another one. Leslie Tompkins killed someone to prove a point to Batman.
As we've all done from time to time.
Yeah. Punisher shooting a litterer.
I know he goes over the edge sometimes, but
yeah.
Well, if you want to check out the rest of them, go to comicbookresource.com, yeah?
Yeah, comicbookresources.com.
Okay, right.
And look it up. Oh, and Magneto being a gypsy.
I thought he was one anyway. Oh no, it was his wife was a gypsy, wasn't it? His wife was a gypsy. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh.
But there's stuff that actually got released that's worse than that. Like not the
I said clearly.
Aye. Like not the new DC 52 Green Lantern New Guardians, but the original version of New Guardians. It had all this team together, and there was 2 women on the team. They were basically like, oh, well, so we're supposed to create more Guardians. That means they obviously got us together to reproduce. It's like, wait, what?
Oh.
You're all different species. One of the team's gay, and the other one's a Floronic Man, so he couldn't do anything anyway. This was the short period where Floronic Man was a hero.
Right.
And then they fight some thing that apparently has AIDS. And the gay guy gets AIDS, and they're not sure, and we're not sure whether he's supposed to have got AIDS because the monster like punched him or scratched him or something, And it's like, no, that's not how that works. In one issue, they fight a villain called Snowflame, who gets his power from snorting cocaine.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Yeah, that guy's amazing, and that's one character who's insane, but I really wish that they'd bring him back in the new 52, because
I'm looking forward...
that sounds just crazy.
I'm looking forward to seeing his sidekick Freebase. Oh, well,
but,
thanks for giving us the old comic news there, as bizarre as
hopefully next time I'll have a bit more. If we'd have recorded this 2 weeks ago, like I said to you, I could have mentioned the whole thing about The Walking Dead issue 19 getting, which is the first appearance of Michonne, getting sold in auction for like $1.5 grand or something in dollars. I think it was stuff like that. But hopefully we get something better anyway.
You've just done it there. Okay, well.
Yep, and now moving from readable media back to actual moving pictures.
And this is a TV section.
Tremble at the might of the TV section.
Okay, so first piece of news we got. Technically it's movie news, but considering it's a spin-off from a TV show, I've decided to put it here. Good news for everyone who likes 24, because they're actually moving ahead with the movie on it at last. They're going to be shooting towards the back end of the year, according to Keith Sutherland, who's read the script, and apparently it's really good. Now I've heard bits and bobs about the 24 movie, in as much as it's not going to be real time like the TV series. I believe that half of it would be real time, and then like you'd get on a plane or something and go to the other side of the world, and then the rest of the movie would be in real time, which would be a bit strange how they do. I mean, no one wants to see Jack Bauer on a plane for 8 hours, I suppose. That'd be quite a long film.
Yeah,
but
the one thing I always noted about the TV show, because Daniel was watching it the other day, I thought it looks cool, but then it got to one of the points where it goes, does the tick, tick, tick thing, and shows the time. Yeah. And I was like, oh, so is this the 6th episode then? And then, because it looks like it's 6 hours in, thinking that it's like a whole a countdown thing. And he goes, no, it started at 8 in the morning, and this is actually 6 in the evening. He goes, you know, with a name like 24, it probably would have been better if the whole time thing was done with a 24-hour clock, or at least an AM or PM next to it.
I think the clock is 24-hour clock, but like they start the series at different times of the day. The first series, I remember, started at 12 midnight, it ended at 12 midnight. And then the second series started at like 7 AM or something like that. I mean, I only ever watched the first 2 series of it, because it showed on BBC Two, and then it went to Sky One. I think we had Sky for the short while. I watched maybe 4 or 5 episodes of season 3, rather. And the gap between season 2 and season 3, apparently Jack went undercover with this gang and got addicted to heroin. And the first 4 or 5 episodes is him basically trying to kick his addiction to heroin. And it just got so boring. It's like, you can't kick a chronic addiction to heroin within 5 hours. Can't be done. You know,
no.
And it just kind of, I lost track of it. I mean, I dip my hand in every now and again just to see what was going on, but, you know, I would watch them. I would certainly give it another chance. But for me, I mean, halfway through series 2, they drop a nuclear bomb in the middle of nowhere. I mean, that's genuinely what they do. The guy who's the head of CTU at that point gets exposed to radioactive material, so he's dying of radiation poisoning. And the nuclear bomb that's due to go off in LA, they found it. So what they do is he sticks it on a plane, hijacks the plane, and says, you know, I'm going to die anyway, so I'm going to die getting rid of this bomb. So he flies into the middle of the desert, Nevada desert, and crashes the plane, and the bomb blows up. And at that point, I was like, okay, well, that was the whole threat of the series. Now what do we do for the next 8 episodes? You know, it was just kind of like padding then, to be honest with you. But, I mean, I'd watch it, and I'd certainly be interested in seeing a 24 movie, because, you know, Kiefer Sutherland as Jack Bauer is, you know, really good. But, yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, they should do it all in real time, so the film's actually 24 hours long.
Now that would be good. In an 8 DVD box set comes 24, the movie.
The only thing, it would sort of throw off the whole Kiefer Sutherland's character, Jack Bauer, being a one-man army. Like the mundane parts of
Well, it's just going in the shop.
Where he's halfway through doing something, and he says to one of his colleagues, turns and goes, watch these two guys a minute. I've just got to go to the bathroom or something.
And you have that beep, 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 with just the 4 split screens, and you just see him on the box. He's going,
yeah.
Oh, that'd be cool. Previously on 24, when he's just having a piss, you know.
Yeah. Or do the whole Ross Noble thing where you just got the randomised screen and sort of looking at the camera going, what are you doing?
Okay, well, I was going to move on to our next story now, which was they did the first 2 episodes of Ultimate Spider-Man, the new animated series. And I've got to say, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I mean, it's by the same team who did Ben 10. So they can do action. You know, it's got some great action beats.
Yeah.
But it's funny. And that's the one thing that has been missing from Spider-Man animated stuff, well, just Spider-Man in general, really, for a long time, is it wasn't funny, and this is hysterical. It's got a few kind of Family Guy moments in there, where he's like, I'm Spider-Man, not Spider-Rhinoceros or something, and you'll cut to a rhinoceros in a Spider-Man suit. Or, yeah, it's got little bits like that, and there's a bit where the supervillain team, I forget which one it is now, they break into the high school. They break into Midtown High because Spidey's been tracked there, and they're all in the cafeteria, and they break in and say, like, we know one of you is Spider-Man. Which one is it? And Peter Parker's looking around, and he looks at the lunch lady, and all of a sudden a Spider-Man costume just appears on it, and she flings away. And then he looks at a geography teacher, and a Spider-Man costume goes on him, and he looks at the janitor of the school, who's Stan Lee, and he's played by Stan Lee, and he looks exactly like Stan Lee. And there's a bit where Peter gets shoved inside a locker by Flash Thompson, and Stan lets him out, and his name's Stan in the show. And Stan's like, oh boy, I hear that the Spider-Man goes to our school, thwip thwip, and he does the hand movements. Oh, it's brilliant. He's just hysterical. But it's all based around at the moment. Basically, Nick Fury comes to Spider-Man and says, look, you need training to be a better superhero, because you could be one of the Avengers when you're older. And the way that they're working it is they show you pictures of Captain America, of Thor, of Iron Man, and Agent Coulson's in it, so it's kind of almost set in the cinematic universe. And at the end of the episodes, Coulson ends up becoming the principal of the school, because Spidey is not the only superhero who's being trained by S.H.I.E.L.D. at the same time. You've got Spidey, you've also got Luke Cage, you've got Iron Fist, who else have you got? You've got Nova, and you've got White Tiger. And basically, it's essentially Spider-Man and his amazing friends, but in high school. And at the end of it, they all start going to Midtown High, so he's got his little group around him. And Norman Osborn wants to get his hands on Spider-Man so he can look in his DNA and make spider soldiers and stuff. And Norman Osborn's working with Dr. Octavius. You don't see you see him in shadow, but you can see him like. And it's quite an interesting take on Octavius, because he's got this really long metal hair. Well, not metal hair, but like metal. He's got hair. He's got long hair like that, and he doesn't walk at all. He relies solely on his his octopus limbs to move around, and it's pretty cool.
All right.
Yeah, and Octavius is actually the one who hires the villains to go after Spider-Man and all this stuff, and it's really quite good. It's really quite good. The guy who plays Nick Fury as well is the same guy who did the voice for the Ultimate Avengers animated movies. So,
okay.
he's good as Nick Fury. I will give him that. He's very good. And Clark Gregg, who plays Coulson, in the live action movies, plays Coulson in the animated series as well. And also, cool. J. Jonah Jameson is played by the guy from the Raimi movies. What's his face? J.K. Simmons.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so it's kind of a mix of the Raimi Spider-Man with him and also the cinematic universe. And so I'd say it's really good. You should check it out. You should definitely check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
definitely, it sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah. So that's my TV reviews for the week, and I'm sure I'll have something else next time.
Aye.
Right. And we're coming up to the end of the pod now, so we're going to move on to another section, which is just random nonsense, and is called Any Other Business.
Any other business?
Okay, the first, we've only got a few little bits, only one of which is randomly geek-related in any way, but did you know, at one point, I'm trying to think exactly when it was, I think it might have been the 80s, they were actually going to do a life-size, oh god, my phone keeps falling over, they were actually going to do a life-size USS Enterprise in Las Vegas.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
Now life-size, they were going to do it, life-size, USS Enterprise, and it was gonna have like it was gonna be like kind of like a set tour kind of thing, but it'd also be a hotel, so people could stay there in Las Vegas, and it was very it's an unusual kind of concept if you'd ask me, but looking at there was concept designs of it, there was pictures of it, and it does look good, but then you've got to think, how would it fit, it's absolutely enormous, so where would it go? It need to basically sell out every single room every night to actually make it make a profit, financially viable, and also, when the reboot movies came along, they'd have to completely redesign the outside of it.
Yeah.
So, I can see why it didn't go ahead. But, imagine that. Imagine going on holiday and staying in the Enterprise.
That would be pretty
That
awesome.
would be boss. I had a fairly similar idea recently myself, which I'll tell you later, because I don't want anyone to steal it from the podcast. But, it's a good idea, these kind of things, but, again, it needs to be financially viable, and Starship Enterprise, unfortunately, wouldn't be. So there's that, and also the other piece of odd news that I found this week was I'm just trying to get it up now. There was a priest who was given a talk at a school. I'm trying to see where it was. It was in County Tyrone, Northern Ireland. BBC News reports that Father Martin McVeigh was meant to be giving a presentation to a group of parents, with one child also present, in Pomeroy Primary School about children's first communion. And basically what he does is he's got his computer hooked up to the projector, assuming he's going to do a PowerPoint, and he plugs in a memory stick, and a PowerPoint projection is not what appears on the screen. In total, 16 images of men in compromising sexual positions appear on the screen instead. The priest himself looks at the screen, kind of shakes his head in a I don't know how they got there kind of way, and then runs out of the room without saying a word. Eventually, he comes back into the room. Basically, the memory stick's been taken off out the projector at this point, and a little bit later he comes back in and basically picks up like nothing's happened.
Yeah.
How do you explain your way out of that one?
To be fair, if that happened to me, to be honest, I would have that would have come up, and my first reaction wouldn't have been to run out of the room. It would have been to yell, "What the hell?
Yeah. Where does this come from?" It kind of is similar to a story that I read as well about a woman who bought a mobile phone. I think she was in America. She goes into the shop, buys a mobile phone, brand new in the box, takes it home, turns it on, and goes into the gallery on the phone, and there's loads of naked photos of various people on there. And basically what it is the company, the phone had gone back, had been sold, had been given back to the company for refurbishment or something, and it had been put in a box as new, not sold as refurbished, and they hadn't wiped the memory card. So imagine that, buying a phone and all of a sudden there's loads of naked people you don't know on the phone. It's good, just as well she didn't buy it for her kids, really, isn't it?
And to be fair, if I bought it, depending what gender they are and what they look like, I might just leave them there.
Actually, I've got one other piece of late breaking news. Actually, Zach Penn.
Okay.
Yeah, are you aware of Zach Penn? You should know his
No.
name. He is writing. Well, he wrote the Avengers movie that's coming out later.
Ah.
He's written like some X-Men films. I think he wrote the first X-Men film. His name is quite synonymous with various projects. Well, apparently, this is literally late-breaking news. He was asked on Twitter. Basically, people said to him, I'm looking forward to the Avengers. Are you doing any more comics movies? And he's replied, yes, eventually. Might do something very strange later this year. So people are taking that to believe that the long-rumoured Doctor Strange movie is in production. Well, will be going into production, rather. So what do you think to that? Do you think Doctor Strange would work as a film?
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with the Doctor Strange character, but from what I've seen, it could possibly work. But
yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, a brief backstory on Doctor Strange, as far as I'm aware, is he's this a doctor in a hospital, name of Stephen Strange, which is what every doctor I've ever been to has been called, and he has an accident, a car accident or something like that, and his hands get mangled and he can't operate again. So what he does, like you do, is he decides to go hiking around Nepal. And goes and visits all these mystics and everything, and learns all these ancient secrets of magic, and basically comes back to New York, sets up the Sanctum Sanctorum, and becomes the world's #1 sorcerer, or the Sorcerer Supreme, as he's known, and and he just fights magic, basically. I mean, I could see them doing that in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but the only way I could see to do it would to put him up against the Mandarin instead of Iron Man, but up against the Mandarin, which is the fight that everyone wants to see, isn't it? Though, so the Mandarin is the only other. He's the foremost magic villain, isn't he?
Well, there's I think in the cartoons that Doctor Strange fought that weird demon Dormammu guy
and Baron Mordo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Baron Mordo was, I believe, played by what's his name now? He was in the League of Gentlemen movie as Dr. P. Oh, what's his name?
Yeah, I remember watching the cartoon and seeing bits of Doctor Strange and mentions of Dormammu and stuff, but with comics I've read recently, I've not seen much mention of the actual character, which is why I'm not familiar with it. But I know at one point they were talking about it being, because they were talking about doing the those Marvel shorts, which would be like 10-15 minute long things.
David Warner, that's it. Oh, and I call myself a geek, Jesus. The Marvel, well, they kind of went with that with the Marvel one-shots, the stuff that they did with Coulson.
Yeah, they were going to do one of those featuring Doctor Strange. So I presumed that was what they were going to do, rather than...
I'd have loved to have seen that. I would love to have seen that. If they'd, just taken maybe, Man-Thing, and they had done a short little movie with him, that would have been pretty cool. Or, it's the perfect way to introduce, Iron Fist or, Luke Cage, Power Man, whatever you want to call him,
Yeah.
It'd be the perfect way. We'll see if a movie comes to fruition, if it does, see if it's any good. But just wanted to drop that in as some late breaking news for you. Okay.
Yep.
So,
anything else?
no, that's it. Unless you've got any other late breaking.
No.
Okay. In that case, then we're going to move on to the final section of the pod, which is where we focus on geekdom from days gone by, and we call it Flashback.
Behold the awesomeness of things that once were in Flashback.
And this week's Flashback is all about the Teenage Mutant Ninja / Hero Turtles. I mean, they were the Hero Turtles in my house when I was a kid. I'm sure they were in yours, sir. And,
yep. I didn't even know that they were called their name was supposed to be the Ninja Turtles until there was, that animated movie TMNT.
Mm-hmm.
That came out, and I saw that and played the Xbox game of it. It wasn't until I'd seen both of those that I knew that they were actually supposed to be ninjas. And at first, when I saw that, I presumed they'd just got the title and then they changed it.
Right.
I didn't realise that the normal title was Ninja.
Because I remember, I believe I was actually the person who told you why it's called Hero Turtles.
Yeah, you were.
I mean, it was called Hero, the animated series. I mean, well, I'll tell you what. We'll go back to the start, back in the early 80s, when Eastman and Laird were basically sick of all the stuff that was coming out at the time, all these various mutations and what have you, fill up all the comics. So they decided they wanted to do the ultimate, spin on that, just a big Mickey take, and they decided, we're going to do Mutant Ninja Turtles. And they put it out as one shot, and people wanted more, so they gave them more and more and more, and it ran. And then eventually, in the late 80s, they got commissioned to do the animated series, the first animated series, which, as we say, was called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles over the pond, and Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles over here. And the reason behind that was because of censorship laws at the time. Ninjutsu was kind of frowned upon, in as much as nunchucks were an illegal weapon in the UK at the time, and they were strongly associated with ninjas. And that's why they decided, we don't want to glorify ninjutsu, so they changed the title to Hero Turtles in the UK, which is also why in the original UK broadcasts of the first animated series, you barely see Michelangelo uses nunchucks at all, which is also one of the reasons why in later series he basically doesn't use them at all and changes to a grappling gun, because they wanted to actually have him do something in the UK broadcasts. But when the first live-action movie came out, it was called Ninja Turtles because that's what it was called, essentially. Because they figured that, older people would be going to see the film as opposed to the young kids, which makes complete nonsense, because it was the young kids who were watching the animated series. But even so, I mean, nunchucks were almost virtually cut out of the live-action movie when it was first shown in the UK. Anyway, it's uncut now, but yeah, so they were cut out. I mean, I watched the 80s series with a plum in my house. I mean, I loved it. I think I may still have some VHSs hanging around somewhere. I distinctly remember owning Attack of the Killer Pizzas, which is one VHS, and Return of the Technodrome, and the one which is basically the first mini-series, I think it's 5 episodes, was the mini-series of the first season, and they cut them into like an hour and a half long and called it How It All Began. I mean, it was a cracking show. Really, really was. But I mean, it got a bit silly towards the end, obviously. But I mean, I loved it. I mean, what was your thoughts on the first animated series?
I remember watching it on, I think it was Sky.
Sky One, yeah. DJ Cat in the mornings.
Yeah. It was that I watched it on. I remember watching this. I kind of remember that Technodrome episode that you mentioned. I don't think I had any like tapes or anything like that. I just remember watching it, and the one specific thing I remember is the whole the theme tune being Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles.
It's one of those ones that'll go down in history, that theme. Oh.
Yeah, and I remember a random dream I had involving the turtle van.
Right. The battle wagon, as it was known.
Yeah, I can never remember the name of it. I just refer to it as the turtle van. I just remember
in the second animated series, they call it the battle shell. Genuinely, that's what it's called. It's ridiculous. I mean, the second animated series, I mean, it's much closer in tone to the original comic. Indeed, I mean, April O'Neil in the original comic and in the second animated series is a scientist, whereas in the first animated series she's a reporter for Channel 6 News, but she wears that yellow jumpsuit all the time, which is
that's the April that I always remember.
Yeah.
I always presume.
Well, in the second animated series, I mean, it's much closer in tone, but it went silly, in as much as there was a whole season where they went into outer space and fought in intergalactic gladiatorial arenas and stuff. It was very, very strange. But I mean, as I say, I mean, there was live action films. I mean, the first Ninja Turtles film, it's all right. It's not great. I would say it's actually surpassed by Ninja Turtles 2, with it. I mean, I love Ninja Turtles too, which is Secret of the Ooze. That's the one where Shredder comes back from the dead, even though he was crushed to death in a bin wagon. Comes back to life and decides he's going to make some mutants himself. And David Warner's in that, funny enough. I mean, any film that's got Ninja Turtles dancing with Vanilla Ice, that gets my vote. Ninja Turtles 2 for the win. And then there's number 3, which was, I think that may have been the very first film I saw on pirate VHS, because me cousin had it, and that's awful. Less said about that one, the better. But, I mean, there is a movie, I don't know if you've seen it, called Turtles Forever.
I don't know. I don't think I have.
You should see it. It's really good. It's set in the 2000s cartoons universe, and like Raph or someone like that, he's out just enjoying himself in the streets, beating people up as he does, and then out of nowhere you hear "Cowabunga!" and all the 80s turtles come in out of nowhere.
Nice. And
basically the gas routine universes, I mean, the universe is starting to collapse in upon each other. And so the 2000 and the 80s Ninja Turtles have to team up to take on 80s Shredder and Krang and new series Shredder, who's actually an alien.
Oh, cool.
He's an alien in the new series. And basically what he does is he decides, new series Shredder decides he's going to destroy all the universes. And to do so, basically they all start collapsing in upon each other. So he steals the chips out of Krang's robot body and makes himself a gigantic. He's giant. And 80s Shredder and Krang have to team up with the 80s Turtles and the 2000 Turtles to take him on. And basically all the universes have collapsed until there's one universe left, which is called Turtles Prime, which is black and white. And the black and white turtles from the original comic are in it. It's
nice.
Brilliant, and they're all done. All their dialogue's done in voiceover, you read, you're hearing the panels from the pages. Oh, it's brilliant. So
cool.
Not actually speaking, you hear it like in his internal monologue. It's brilliant, and as I say, they have to all fight together to take down, this Utrom Shredder. It's brilliant. You need to see it, man. Any self-respecting Turtles fan should see that. So, I mean, for me, if I never saw any Ninja Turtle stuff again after seeing Turtles Forever, that'd be it. I'm perfectly happy for that to go out on. But as I'm sure you're aware, and as sure as a lot of people are aware, I said Mr. Michael Bay has stuck his nose in.
Oh, God.
Yes, and indeed, he wants to do a film just called Ninja Turtles. No mutant, no teenage, and he said that he wants the turtles to be aliens.
Yeah.
I think has been taken out of context. A lot of people think they're going to be, fully grown alien turtles from a different planet. I disagree, because in the original stories, the ooze that transforms them and, makes them into the Ninja Turtles that we know and love is from an alien world. It's alien in origin, so therefore you could say that the turtles are alien in origin, full stop. But obviously, I've not read the script of the Michael Bay version. Don't know what I'm with. So
I think most people are going the way. If that was the way he was presenting it, going, "Oh no, the ooze is alien." He should have been more specific rather than saying, "Oh yeah, they're aliens." Because if I thought of it as being, as soon as they go, "Oh yeah, the turtles are aliens," it's not my first thought goes to, oh, they're going to be some weird turtle-like race from another planet, and then they come down a ship, and then or something daft like that. If he'd have said, oh, the ooze, rather than being radioactive waste or whatever, is going to be like this weird alien slime, which mutates the turtles or transforms them or whatever.
That's fine by me, because that's the way it's always been.
That would be fine. It's just the way he stated it. It sounds like the actual turtles are going to be...
But the big uproar that's come along, I mean, a lot of the original voice actors from the first movie, the animated series and what have you, a lot of them have come out against and say, look, don't do this, don't make them aliens. But there's yet to be a press release or anything from Platinum Dunes to say, no, the quote has been taken out of context. So that still lends credence to the theory that they are actually alien creatures from another world. we just have to wait and see on that one, unfortunately. But
so far with the actual them not being teenage, the only evidence for that really is them saying that the working title is just Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
But to be fair, most people just refer to it as Ninja Turtles, so maybe that's why, and the whole thing of teenage not being in the title has nothing to do with the actual story.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair enough, I suppose. I mean, let's face it. I mean, it can't be any worse than TMNT, the CGI animated feature that he did in 2003. I didn't rate that at all. Really didn't rate that at all. It just I mean, it was kind of supposed to be a sequel to the 80s series. That's kind of the way that they pushed it. A sequel to the first live action films as well. But the fact that it had no familiar features whatsoever. It was all about these stone warriors that came to life and everything like that. I mean, there was nothing you as a Turtle fan could identify with. If they'd have put Shredder in there, I'd have been happy. If they'd have put Krang in there, I'd have been happy. Utroms, Bebop, Rocksteady, anything. Even the bloody the mutant foods from Alabama or whatever they're from. Anything like that. The Rat King, fine. But it's just nothing to do with nothing. It feels for me like a Hellboy plot.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's why I kind of try and ignore TMNT as much as possible. Although there's a sweet fight between Raphael and Leonardo, so I'll let them have that one. But yeah, so that's I mean, your thoughts on Ninja Turtles as a franchise as a whole, sir?
Yeah, like I said, there's the new series of comics that's just been released by IDW, which is a whole reboot of the comics thing, which, by the sounds of it, has kind of changed little bits of the origin as well. But apparently, it's a really good series, and I'm considering getting that. But my only problem is actually fund-wise, so I'm probably going to wait for them to release it as a trade.
Yeah.
And I'm going to buy it as a trade instead, and then I'll read through it.
Yeah. Sounds like a good idea. I might do that myself, actually.
Yeah. The cartoon, I remember, I just love that. I need to watch those episodes again.
I've got every episode of the original and 2000 series on DVD.
Oh yeah, I remember you said.
Yeah, so I mean, it's good to go back. I mean, the 80s series has still got it. You see a lot of animation mistakes, but it's still got it, man.
It's the same with Transformers. Back then there was loads.
Got all of them as well. Well, I think any more words on that, or are we done there?
Nope, I'm pretty much done.
Okay, well, that's it for the end of the podcast. It's out with the old in terms of Ninja Turtles and in with the new. So if you join us next time, we'll have some more news, more reviews, and another flashback for Attack of the 50-Foot Nerds. My name is Mike Bell.
I'm Andy Weir.
And Geek Out.
Shell, turtle power.
If you've enjoyed the nerddom in your ears, then please follow us on Twitter at 50footnerds, or email us anything except spam at 50footnerds@gmail.com.
Hooray!
Yay!
Only 3 hours in, but
Yeah.
I think you've got some
Post credits clip. Etc.
Yeah.